Clint Eastwood, a Hollywood legend. He's also a real hero. Has had a huge impact on the entertainment business for more than 60 years. Fortune of $375 million, he has impressed people with his Clint Eastwood has played memorable tough guys, but his life is just as interesting. Eastwood made his mark on the screen with more than just his famous parts. Is also admired for the luxurious way he lives, which can be seen in his collection of luxury from his many cars to his huge farm. Let's look at the amazing journey and impressive. You will find it very impressive how this Hollywood legend lives his life. Clint Eastwood is a famous actor, director, writer, and politician who used to run for office. As he rose to fame, his paychecks got bigger and bigger, showing how popular he was at the box office. In 1968, Eastwood played in the Western thriller Hangam High, which won an amazing $400,000 and a groundbreaking deal that gave him 25% of the movie's net box office earnings were an early sign of his growing power, and in the same year, he doubled his money with a $1 million payday for With Where Eagles Dare. 1968, Coogan Bluff continued to do well, where he made a huge $750,000 a year, but by 1978, Eastwood had become a star. Had hit a whole new level when he got a crazy $12 million for the action. He made a lot of money with his comedy, Every Which Way But Loose. In 1984, he got $50 million for City Heat, and then $7 million in 1993 for In the Line of Fire. With each part, Eastwood not only made a name for himself, but also he became known as one of the best-paid stars of his time. Clint, he was born in San Francisco on May 31, 1930, and weighed 11.6 pounds. Oz, which is why the nurses called him Samson. In the 1930s, his father had many jobs along the West Coast, so the family often moved. In the 1940s, they moved to Piedmont, California, a rich neighborhood where they had a nice home with a pool, a membership to a country club, and several cars. But Clint's his years were hard. He had trouble in school and was held back in middle school because he was rebellious. Legal problems, such as being kicked out of Piedmont High after writing an inappropriate message on the school sports screen. Clint finished high school at Oakland Technical and then got a job. Many jobs, such as lifeguard, paper boy, store clerk, golf caddy, and forest. As a firefighter in the Korean War, he was forced to join the U.S. Army, but was as a lifeguard at Fort Ord. Eastwood met Chuck Hill, who had a lot of contacts. Someone in the film business, who put him in touch with cinematographer Irvine. When Glassberg saw how good Eastwood could be, he set up a meeting with director Arthur Lubin. Eastwood's rough good looks and screen presence made Lubin want to take acting classes, which would shape his career. Mark Eastwood began trying out for roles in movies that he wanted to play in the future. Roles. He got his first small part in Revenge of the Creature and kept getting parts after that. Get small parts, and then his big break came in 1959 with Rawhide, a Western show that ran for 6 years and made him well known. Even though Clint was a star, he wasn't quite there yet. In 1964, he took a risk that would change his life by going to Italy on a low-budget trip. He was in the Western A Fistful of Dollars, which Hollywood hardly paid attention to. Became a surprise hit, leading to 2 more movies for a little more money. When Good, Bad, and Ugly came out, Eastwood wasn't just a TV cowboy anymore. He was a movie star all over the world, and Clint kept his Western dominance with movies like Hang 'em a High, 1968, in which Eastwood played a man who became a sheriff after being wrongly lynched and left for dead. Eastwood's revenge starred stars like Inger Stevens and Pat Hingle. As shown in the first part of the film, his act marked a major turning point in his career. Eastwood had a huge hit at the box office, making him an impressive $400 million, and 25% of the net box office gains from the 1970s weren't. They did great things for Clint Eastwood and made him an unstoppable force, and in 1971, he gave his best act as Inspector in Hollywood. Harry Callahan in Dirty Harry, with a steely look on his face and a .44 Magnum gun, he didn't just clean up the streets. He changed the action movie genre, and the movie this event became famous and led to the famous line, "Do you feel lucky, punk?" and several follow-ups that made Eastwood a famous action star for gens. But Eastwood didn't just want to be in the movies. He also wanted to write and direct them. 1973, he took a big risk by directing High Plains Drifter, a dark, and 3 years later, he showed how good he was as a director with the intense play The Outlaw Josie Wales, 1976, a reimagined Western that was praised by both reviewers and fans. Then, in 1979, he switched from shootouts to comedies, and Every Which Way But Loose was a funny movie that surprised everyone at the box office. Eastwood wasn't in it. He wasn't just an action star. He was a storyteller who wouldn't stick to one type. As the 1980s began, Eastwood didn't slow down. He kept making movies. After becoming famous as an action star, he worked on his skills as a director, mixing action with more serious themes. Serious stories. In 1983, he came back as Harry Callahan in Sudden Impact was the Dirty Harry movie that made the most money. But it was in 1985 that he really got people's attention with Pale Rider, an eerie and beautiful song. Western that made him a better director, and then in 1988 he stepped in Bird, a highly personal biopic about jazz, took him out of his comfort zone. Legend Charlie Parker, the movie showed how well Eastwood could handle difficult, and he won the Golden Globe for Best Director by telling a moving story. The 1990s were Eastwood's golden era, both as an actor and as a person. Known as one of the best directors in Hollywood, he gave The Unforgiven is more than just a cowboy movie. It's the last brutal masterpiece in the Western genre. That was a real, in-depth look at violence, morals, and justice. Won 4 Oscars, including Best Picture and Best Director. Eastwood's triumphant arrival as a world-class tour guide, but he wasn't done shocking people. In 1995, in The Bridges of Madison County, he gave one of his most moving performances. Madison County is a love drama that runs next to Meryl Streep. 1997, he started reading political thrillers and movie versions of books. Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil and Total Power both show that he showed once more that he wasn't just a gun-toting cowboy. He was also a great entertainer. Eastwood didn't seem to be slowing down at all, even though he was in his 80s. 2012. Torino, a movie that made a big splash in culture and helped him keep his box office lead. Dominant in the field after decades of work. 6 years later, American Sniper 2014 was a huge success around the world, making more than $540 million and winning. He won 6 Oscars, and just when people thought he was ready to quit, he made a victory return in 2018, the Mule showing at age 88 that he could still captivate people in 2021. even though he is 91 years old. Cry Macho is a reflective new Western that Eastwood directed and played in. Getting older and second chances were themes that ran through his journey back then. In 2024, Eastwood shocked fans once more when he said that Jury Number 2 was of the movie as a thriller with Nicholas Hoult and Toni Collette as jurors, who is pulled between keeping a deadly secret and telling the truth, even if it means putting himself in danger. Not only returns to the thriller genre with Juror Number 2, but also puts people in danger. But also wants to end his long and successful career on a high note. If this is his last movie, it will do both. Be a moving farewell from one of the best movie directors of all time. Clint Eastwood's trip takes us from the dirty streets of the Old West to the big stages of the Academy Awards. Even though he's no longer in charge of making movies, Eastwood's stuff of HollyLegacy will continue to make us laugh, feel good, and remember what's important. Success in Hollywood that lasts for a long time has given Eastwood a life many people dream of, having a real estate business as big as his. He has mostly built it up in his home state. Of his homes in California show both good taste and smart investment, of which have become more valuable over time. Let's look more closely at one of his most famous homes, is the Spanish Revival-style Carmel home. One of Clint Eastwood's most famous homes was in Carmel by the Sea, California, a lovely beach town. For decades, he has had a close connection with this house. Built around 1924, was built in the traditional Spanish Revival style, and has red-tiled roofs, white stucco walls, arched doors, and beautiful balconies that show off that the house is about 4,400 square feet and has the architectural charm of the time. It has 4 bedrooms, each with its own private living space that is both large and cozy. Built with big windows that let in lots of natural light and give you stunning views of the landscape around the house and the finer features inside, like exposed wooden beams. A luxurious atmosphere is created by wooden floors, old fireplaces, and large terraces. But tied to nature atmosphere, the property also boasts lush, carefully well-kept gardens that offer a peaceful retreat. One of its best features is that the owner could enjoy the cool ocean breeze and peaceful beauty of the big courtyard with stone paths. In the 1980s, Carmel Clint Eastwood bought this house, but the exact price they paid for it is still unknown, but they've had it for more than 10 years. He chose to market it in 1996 for around $22. $25 million at this point in time. Eastwood was at the top of his game with a string that has been in a lot of movies, and is also the mayor of Carmel by the Sea from 1986 to 1988. The house was more than just a place to hide away. Not only a private sanctuary where he could find peace amidst his busy life, he also chose to sell the property. May have been affected by the fact that he was working on other land deals, like as the growth of Mission Ranch and Tehama, 2 of his most important businesses in the Carmel area, after they changed hands. During the years, the house was sold again in October 2024 for $18.55 million, showing that real estate in Carmel by the Sea will always be valuable, especially homes with a lot of history and ties to famous people like Clint. In the early 1980s, Eastwood built an eco-friendly, high-end neighborhood in Carmel. Clint Eastwood bought a huge 500-acre estate in the hills, with a view of Carmel and Monterey Bay. Over the years, he kept buying land next to them. He grew his holdings to an amazing 20 to 40 acres over the next few decades. Was left alone and kept in its natural state. Eventually, Clint had with his idea. He turned the land into a private community for only a few people while still protecting a large natural area. Tehama, a bold project that turned into a high-end eco-friendly home. The Enclave and Country Club Tehama is meant to be both fancy and to protect the environment. Only 90 home sites were planned on 300 acres, leaving more than 85% portion of the community's land that hasn't been touched. In the middle of Tehama is a beautiful golf course built by famous planner Jay Moorish and opened in 1999. The country club's membership is only open to people who have been invited. Since the lots were not built on right away, when they first went on the market, prices ranged from $1.5 million to $6.25 million. The most expensive parcels are up to 10 acres and have stunning views. With a view of the water, Clint reserved one of the most wanted lots, a beautiful 14-acre farm, where he built a beautiful 16,000 square foot villa that is only the main clubhouse and diner are just a short golf cart right away. This estate is if Clint's house was ever put on the market, it could be a masterpiece of wealth and privacy. Mission Ranch Hotel in Monterey is likely to sell for between $15 million and $20 million. In 1986, Clint Eastwood bought a dairy farm in Monterey, California, California, and turned it into the impressive and expensive Mission Ranch Hotel. The ranch is close to the well-known Carmel Mission, which adds a Mission Ranch is a historic gem set on 22 acres of land that is already in a beautiful place. Beautiful land with views of Point Lobos Caramel River Beach, and the ranch's charm comes from its carefully renovated buildings and the view of the majestic Pacific Ocean, which now have 31 hotel rooms spread out over 10 different buildings. Mission Ranch is more than just a place that lets you drink from the historic land. To stay there is to be immersed in the peace and quiet of nature and the history of the place. While in the restaurant on site, guests can enjoy traditional American food, taking in the peaceful view of sheep grazing in the fields nearby. The fun piano bar at this diner is another thing that makes it stand out. The restaurant is only 9 blocks south of downtown Carmel, and only 8 blocks from the beach. From the beautiful Coral Beach, Mission Ranch is the perfect place for those interested in exploring the area while also wanting to enjoy a peaceful vacation. Mission Ranch is also a popular place for special occasions because it has charming rooms. Its beautiful setting makes it a great place for romantic breaks, weddings, and business meetings. Stay at one of our business retreats or family get-togethers. The Mission Ranch Tennis and Exercise Club is on the ranch and is open to guests so they can stay active while they're there. To a range of services to make their stay better, and its rich past is truly stunning. Mission Ranch stands out as a real Carmel because of its setting and unique features. Pebble Beach Golf is a hidden gem that gives every guest an unforgettable experience. Links a classic work of art in 1999, when the golf course was put up for sale by the Japanese company Lone Cypress, which accuses Clint Eastwood he led a group with his close friends Peter Uber Roth and Richard Ferris of investors to buy the property, but their price of $820 million was less than the others. Than other bids, but it was accepted because they said they would finish the buy within. If Eastwood had been more well known in Japan at the time, he might have also played a part in the seller's choice. But Eastwood was the main getting the deal done. He is not the only owner of the golf club. The value of one of the main investors in a bigger ownership group over the years their spending has tripled, which has helped them become better at business, as Eastwood has lived in Pebble Beach for a long time and is a passionate player. constantly working to keep and improve the course so that it